Howdy folks, welcome to Brain Rotters. Shang Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is officially here. We gotta talk about Easter eggs you missed, references you missed, as well as some small details that you may have also missed. Stay with me here as I take you through the movie. At the beginning of the movie, we see that the Mandarin is rallying his armada to storm a kingdom in China. Over the narration, we learn that the Mandarin found the rings, but no one knows where. But in the comics, the Mandarin finds the rings in the Valley of Spirits in China, in a spaceship that harbored a makluan lifeform who harbored the 10 rings, made a makluan technology. So that could be canon to the MCU, but I'm not so sure. I think Marvel is retconning that idea to set up future MCU events by connecting the 10 rings to the Celestials, since Captain Marvel's whole role in the post-credits scene was to confirm that it wasn't made by any alien tech in and around the entire universe, of which she's been exploring for decades now. So that confirms the retcon of the rings' origins, but check my video out on that here. When we see the early years of Shang Chi training to be an assassin in the clan, there is a lady tattooing the 10 Rings logo onto a clan member, which is a reference to how the entire 10 Rings clan that's been shown throughout the MCU, every clan member has a tattoo of the 10 Rings logo on their skin. Now, the place where Shang Chi and the crew retreat to is his mother's home, Ta Lo. And in the comics, Ta Lo is a pocket dimension on Earth amongst the 36 heavens of China. There's a lot more to it than that, but you should know that Ta Lo in this movie isn't the pocket dimension, but they explain that the dark gate that holds the dweller is the pocket dimension in this scenario, and that's how they incorporate that part of the comics into the movie. When the Mandarin fights Shang-Chi's mother, there is a moment where she handles the rings and controls them into a ball. Now that is a foreshadow for what Shang-Chi did later on in the movie and how he handled the rings. When we see Shang-Chi and Katie head to Macau to go warn Xialing of the Mandarin coming, but in the comics, most recently, Shang-Chi goes to Macau to the Iron 88 casino to attend the auction for the Tesseract. Jeff Gordon, the famous NASCAR driver, gets a reference by Katie. Later, Shang-Chi and Katie are double dating with friends. The one friend references Thanos' snap. The movie mentions how Shang-Chi is fluent in 4 languages. These languages aren't specified in the movie, but in the comics, those 4 languages are English, Cantonese, Mandarin, and Ancient Mandarin. When Shang goes to Katie's house, the posters on the wall outside the building has posters that read advertisements that say post-blip anxiety, the blip being Hulk's snap that brought back the rest of the universe. The entire movie has a lot of references throughout the film about the afterlife. The first one comes from Katie with the song Hotel California, the song being about hell. Then there is the Mandarin that says he can hear his wife's voice calling out to him from the afterlife, and earlier on in the film there is Katie's grandmother who believes in the Day of the Dead, where in some cultures they believe that they can give gifts to the dead, and once a year the dead can cross over and receive those gifts. So there are afterlife references all throughout the film. There's the bearded guy named Cliff from Homecoming who was on the bus with Shang-Chi. There's a few movie posters on Shang's wall. I could find The Warriors, then Kung Fu Hustle. There are a few others, but I couldn't quite find them and narrow them down. Shang-Chi was being trained to be an assassin as a kid, then contracted by his father to do his first assignment. This is true of the comics. His father contracted his son to do many assignments, so it's nice to see Marvel so comic accurate with his origin story. So the Golden Daggers Club that Shang fights in, I believe that the Golden Daggers is a reference to the comic label Golden Daggers that always found a way into the title of most Shang-Chi comics, but I'm not sure of its significance within the comic, but there is a connection. Now, in the low-level fights, we see a guy with Extremis is still around from Iron Man 3. Now, that means AIM could still be operating with that, or maybe this guy was just lucky enough to walk away from that final Iron Man 3 fight. Also, in the low-level fights, there's a sumo wrestler. This is actually Sumo from the comics, and the pair even share the same purple underwear from the comics too, Sumo being one of Shang-Chi's villains. Obviously, Abomination is in the film from The Incredible Hulk. Now, he has an interesting sparring with Wong, because we learn that Wong is training Abomination. Now, it could be that the US Army, like Ross, is contracting Wong out to calm Abomination down and hone in Abomination's skills, but Abomination is supposed to be a villain in She-Hulk, so Wong could be in danger come that series. There's a few Captain America references in the club fights because there is the cap shield being behind Shang. Hey, you made it this far, you might as well subscribe if you're new, as well as hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss another video just like this one. But then there's the name Pinky above a locker in the club's locker room. Pinky was a part of the Howling Commandos. There's even a golden skull that Xialing has in her office, which could be a reference to Golden Skull from the comics, the future version of Red Skull who fights the future version of Captain America too. So another Cap reference there for you. Well while we're in Macaw, let's talk about that fight with the Mandarin Army. Notice throughout the film that the Army's weapons share the similar blue energy that the rings have, and the Mandarin is always nearby the Army, so the weapons need to draw power from the rings. So next time you watch the movie, watch how close the Mandarin is to his army, to those weapons. It's because those weapons need that close connected link to the Mandarin's rings. Then there is the building across the street that has 11 rings that wrap around the building, but each emit blue lightning, which is cool symbolism that the rings are nearby. When the trio is brought back to the Mandarin compound, Jia Ling's room has a lot of details in her childhood, but behind her you can see an AC/DC shirt in one of the scenes. The Mandarin lists off names that he's been called over the years, not the least of which includes the Warrior King, and then he says Master Khan, who is an Iron Fist and Luke Cage villain from the Marvel comic. The green pendants that the siblings wear emit the orange energy their mom has when put in the dragon's eyes, and then later in the movie we see the eyes of the dragon emit that same orange energy too. Trevor Slattery returns from Iron Man 3, and when he does, they reference the Marvel one-shot short film called All Hail the King when the 10 rings break Trevor out of prison. Trevor references the time he went to see Planet of the Apes with his mother, which in the same Marvel one-shot we see a picture of him and his mother outside of the theater where they went to see that very movie. The final villain of the movie is the Dweller in Darkness, which is from the comics too, who has the ability to generate fear in people. Even the Soul Eaters are pulled straight from the comics, tit for tat. They look exactly the same way they do in the movie. So in one of the earlier fights between Shang and his father, the dad tells Shang that Shang is afraid of him. Like, there's no other feeling he could feel. This is still showing the connection, the irrefutable dominance that his father still thinks he has over Shang, even this late into the movie. Speaking of the Soul Eaters, when they harness the soul of someone, the process has a rainbowy tinge to it, and if we look at Doctor Strange's most recent What If episode, we see the rainbow tinge that he emits when he's absorbing those beings and their soul. Then there's not one, but two post-credits scenes, and I actually explain the both of them and their individual impacts on the MCU moving forward, so go check that out. Thank you all so much for watching. What did you think of this breakdown? What did I miss, and what did you miss in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings? I'll see you guys in the comments section below. Let's talk about it.